and welcome to the Culture Swally, a podcast dedicated to Scottish news and pop culture. My name is Nicky, and I'm joined, as always, by the man who often holds his breath until he blacks out. It's Greg. How are you today, buddy?
Not bad. I did wonder what I was getting this week after I watched the film.
Yeah, I was struggling. I was going to say about hiding keys, or often likes to tackle little girls playing football, or something about a burning boat. But no, I decided to go with holding your breath. How are you today, my man?
Not bad. Not bad. It's on the 1st of August, it was a big birthday for somebody quite close to our Culture Swally heart. So the big fella, Tom Urie, of Chewing the Fat and Still Game and stuff, he posted a very happy 80th birthday to the one and only Dave Anderson.
Oh, fantastic. Oh, wow. That's amazing.
And even more exciting, Dave has responded, because Dave's on Facebook.
Oh.
And he's responded to say, "Dear Tommy, I don't deserve it, but I'll take it. Big love to you and thanks." Heart emoji. So that was nice.
Oh, he definitely deserves it. Dave Anderson's an absolute legend. Oh, fantastic. Oh, that's lovely to hear. 80 years young and still...
Yes, I've just shat the bed a bit there, mate. I just clicked on Dave Anderson's Facebook page, and it's a different Dave Anderson.
So that's why you're saying I don't deserve it then.
This Dave Anderson is a digital creator. But I thought he looked a bit like our Dave Anderson, but just a bit older. I don't know if you can see there. I mean, maybe he's changed.
Yeah, he does.
I think maybe he's changed his profession to a digital creator. He's given up the acting, maybe. I don't know.
Maybe he has. Maybe he's busy doing TikToks all the time. That's what Dave Anderson's up to. We'll have to investigate that and see if it is the real Dave Anderson or not. But wonderful. Oh, it's been a while since we've had Dave. Oh no, he was in something recently, wasn't he?
It was in a sort of flying blink and you'll miss him appearance in something, I think, wasn't it?
Was it the Nightmare Man? Or is it...
I don't think it was a Nightmare Man.
No. It's definitely in something we did recently, but I can't remember now. It'll come back to me anyway. Yeah. Anyway, wonderful. Well, that's a lovely happy birthday for Dave Anderson. How is everything else going? You excited? Were you jealous as we're recording this, Oasis have just played, I think they're playing tomorrow night as well, in Edinburgh. Were you upset that you missed out after seeing all the videos and stuff?
I did get a wee pang of FOMO when I saw some of the videos, because it looks as though it was everybody, some people that I really respect for their taste have said it was the best gig. There's a guy called Darren Jones that I used to knock about with quite a lot when I was a teenager up in Aberdeenshire. He was a few years older than me, Darren. Massive music fan. I know that he continues to go to a lot of gigs, both big gigs and more intimate gigs, and he put on his Instagram that it was the best gig he's ever been to in his life. So when I saw that, I thought, I bet it was fun. But then I remembered that Darren is quite comfortable at a gig with thousands and thousands and thousands of people. And probably not. The Manic Street Preachers was just big enough, the one that we went to last summer. That was kind of big enough. That was big enough for me. I'm not sure. I don't know if I'm match fit for a gig that size anymore. You know what I mean? I think it would start to do my nut in after maybe an hour.
I did see, our mutual friend had posted a few clips and videos, and there was one I think he'd taken. I presume it was everyone exiting the gig and just crowds and crowds, and I was like, I could not be fucked with that.
Well, when I was going through the papers earlier today, looking for some Swally stories, there was a lot of videos about the train stations just jammed with people trying to get home after the concert. And I thought, that's the kind of... That's the other side of it, isn't it? Because, even if you've gone and had a really, really, really good time, you've still got to get home. You know what I mean? Unless you pay a fortune to get an Airbnb in Murrayfield or Gorgie or somewhere where you can walk back, you're going to have to put yourself in the hands of ScotRail or whoever, Edinburgh buses or whoever it is, or getting the tram doesn't go past Murrayfield, does it? I don't think.
Yeah, it does. Yeah,
does it?
I think it does. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I would just walk, because it's not that far from the Murrayfield into the city centre.
No, if you were staying in the city centre, if you were lucky enough to manage to grab somewhere, bearing in mind the Oasis are playing and it is the Fringe, then I probably would have walked in. But the travel chaos, not for me. I totally agree with you on that. I remember going to see Eminem in Milton Keynes, and we were staying in London, and the chaos of the train station to get back to London it was carnage, and it was just, horrible.
Yeah, no, that's the thing. It's just. The thing is, I'm not a big enough Oasis fan to be up to parting with all that money, and I only really like the first two albums, and even then I'm not like, oh, these are some of the greatest albums ever. There are a lot more albums that I like better than Definitely Maybe and What's the Story, but I do really like those albums, not enough to lie out that kind of money. The only I think I said to you yesterday, the only thing is, because they've been such momentous gigs, we're just going to be fucking inundated now by these insufferable cunts. Oh man, you had to be there. You had to be there, honestly, once in a lifetime. I can't describe it, And unfortunately, our mutual friend is in that number. But I don't think he's a big enough Oasis fan to be. He's not got much of an attention span, has he? So he'd have moved on to the best gig he'd have been to is the next fucking time he sees Guy Ordinal or Tall Paul at some grotty laser club in Dundee or somewhere,
Oh, never mind. Oh well, I hope everyone that went enjoyed it, and don't tell us about it, because as Greg says, you're insufferable cunts. Okay then, right. Shall we have a look at what else has been happening in Scotland over the last couple of weeks, Greg?
Cue the jingle.
Hello, this is the Outer Hebrides Broadcasting Corporation, and here is what's been going on in the news.
Okay, Greg, what have you seen in the news in the last couple of weeks you'd like to share with me and our lovely listeners?
So this will be right up your street as a unabashed fan of wrestling. This comes from the Daily Record on, the 3rd of August. And the headline is, Scotch wrestler who lived in his car with his dog, also I know you're a big fan of dogs as well, now a rising star in the USA. This is the former Motherwell carer, Luke Scowler, which isn't his wrestling name, but definitely should be, is turned wrestling star and has taken America by storm. Luke is 33. He's better known by fans as Crixus, and he's quickly become one of the breakout stars of Ohio Valley Wrestling, the same promotion that launched WWE legends John Cena and Dave Batista. Nicknamed the Scottish War Machine, Luke's journey has taken him from sleeping in a gym car park to headline matches in the US, including casket matches and cage fight. He made history as the OVW's first ever Scottish champion, and now appears regularly in the cult promotion recently featured in the hit Netflix documentary Wrestlers. I haven't seen that. Did you watch that one?
Yeah, it's good. Yeah,
is it good?
It's really good. Yeah, it's good. It's proper, small promotion wrestling, the stories are really good, actually. It's worth a watch, definitely. It's there's one of the guys is like a crack addict, and he gets fired and stuff, and then rehired and comes back high as fuck, and then gets fired again, and it's proper warts and all, low league wrestling. But it is good. It's worth a watch.
I'm in. It reminds me a little bit of the, in the documentary Beyond the Mat, when they're following like Terry Funk and Jake the Snake, and they're wrestling in these sort of local community ones, right? Yeah. So before the body slams and bright lights, Luke had worked as a fitness instructor in a residential care home for young people at Inspire Scotland. He said that I really loved that job, but it was tough emotionally. He said, I've always had a bit of a Batman complex. I thought I was going to save everybody. And he doesn't say this, but I assume he means, and hard as fuck. I was in a bad place with it. I knew it wasn't for me, and I was burned out. I was in a bad place. I remember sitting in my house in Newmains watching TV with my dog, Odin, when wrestling came on. And I just thought, screw it, let's go. Scots have made it big in this business. Why couldn't I? The same night, he packed up his car, grabbed his dog, and drove through the night to enrol at a wrestling academy in London, run by former WWE star Al Snow, who is now OVW's head trainer. He said, I drove through the night with no plan and no place to stay. Me and the dog slept in the car for a bit. Eventually the guy who ran it asked if I was serious. I told him I'd already quit my job and left my house. That was it. We moved into the gym and we didn't go back. After topping a 300-person wrestling combine in 2019, Luke earns a coveted spot at the OVW, but his momentum was stalled when the pandemic hit, forcing him back to the UK for 2 years. Now fully based in Kentucky, he's cementing himself as one of the promotion's leading names. We've got thicker skin, says Luke, especially in Glasgow. You're battle ready by the time you leave primary school, so wrestling comes naturally to us. I'm a smart-ass, cheeky bastard, and the accent helps too. Over here in the States, people already think we're mental, which definitely helps. I just turned my personality up to 11. I wasn't pretending to be someone else, just a version of me you probably wouldn't want to sit next to in a pub. I get to act like an arse, and they still love me. They boo you, but they're cheering underneath. His rise comes during what insiders are calling a golden period for Scots in pro wrestling. Joe Hendry from Edinburgh appeared at WrestleMania this year, while Drew McIntyre from Ayrshire, who also came through the OVW, became Scotland's first WWE champion in 2020. OVW head coach Al Snow, himself a former WWE European and Hardcore champion, believes that Luke could be next. He says, with the success of Joe Hendry and Drew McIntyre, Scotland is increasingly a potential source of talent. ICW did amazing things. I know Grado, though don't tell him I said this, but he's incredibly charismatic and doing so well across TV, radio and stage. With Crixus, we may have another superstar in our hands. His dedication has been incredible. To make it in this business, you have to sacrifice and do things out of the ordinary, and that's why I think he's got what it takes. So I have to keep a wee eye on Luke Scowler, also known as Crixus, although Luke Scowler's a fucking great Scottish name, a great wrestler name as well.
It is. I don't know if it translates well, though, to the over the pond. Scowler. It's the Scowler.
Yeah. Look out.
Dirty Luke.
Yeah. But that's a great... Imagine he's just been sitting watching the TV and thought, fuck it, and just packed his life up immediately and drove down to London.
Yeah. Takes a fair bit of balls to do that, and well, hey, it's obviously paying off for him, I guess. And yeah, he's right. There is a good little trend in terms of, you know, as you say, you got Drew McIntyre, he's still doing well, and Joe Hendry, yeah, he's had a phenomenal year. And yeah, there's definitely a kind of influx of Scottish talent as well. There's a female wrestler too, Piper Niven, who's doing really well in WWE. So yeah, there's definitely for a small nation to be able to have quite a few people in WWE at least, and then be able to make a mark. Yeah, it's brilliant. And yeah, as I say, I did watch the first season of that, and Al Snow's in it a lot. He's brilliant, and yeah, it's really good. It's a good watch, and I'm really pleased to hear that Luke's doing well and things are panning out for him.
What's Rab Florence's niece's name? I think she left WE this year. Or?
She did, yeah. Isla Dawn.
Oh, yeah.
Was her name. Yeah, she got released, but like she was in a tag team with another Scottish girl, and she's still there, I think. Okay. But yeah, Isla Dawn got released. I don't know if she's wrestling anywhere or if she's still, if she's been picked up by another promotion or anything. I'm not sure. I forgot to check. But unfortunately, things didn't work out for her. But you never know. People get released and then re-signed all the time.
Yeah.
So I was
going to say, it's quite a tough business, I think, isn't it? Professional wrestling. I think it can be quite ruthless. If you're, I remember like watching that documentary that I mentioned before, Beyond the Mat, and as well as following Jake the Snake and his well-documented crack stage, and Terry Funk and his absolutely fucked knees stage. They were following that young prospect at the I think it was still a WWF back then, and his gimmick was he could like throw up at will, but then when he had to do it in front of Vince McMahon in Vince McMahon's office, he couldn't do it. Remember?
Yeah.
His wrestling was going to be like Upchuck or Bobby Barf or something like that. I remember thinking, I don't think that name's going to take off,
That was kind of the stage where every wrestler had to have a profession as their gimmick. And I guess he was like the barf man would have been the... But yeah, it can be ruthless. And as I say, I mean, it was the same with Drew. He came in and he had a few years there and then he got released. And yeah, kind of, he did the right thing. Went and kept his head down, went and did all the independent shows and just kept plugging away and built himself back up so that WWE kind of couldn't ignore him. And then he came in again at like kind of a low level at NXT, but then immediately cemented himself. And then within a few years, he was beating Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania for the title. And, now he's kind of widely regarded as one of the, the top talents in the WWE at the moment. So it shows hard work pays off. And if you really stick with it and put your mind to it, I mean, he could easily have got released and been very resentful and, just fucked things up. But he obviously decided that he was going to make it work, and he has. So fair play to him.
Yeah, for sure. Probably got some good advice as well along the way, I'd imagine.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think he has said, like the couple of people that phoned him when he got released and, their words of advice to him and to stick with it. And then he's done the same for others. Like since then that have been released, I've read that, he calls people up to say to them, right, okay, you've been released. This is probably going through your head. This is going through your head. Here's what you need to do. First of all, set up a pro wrestling tee store. Second of all, book as many dates as you can on the indies. Third of all, be active on social media. I think, because there's a female wrestler, Naomi. Drew, because he's known for being like an ultimate social media fucking troll and really using it to his advantage. And I think he took a female wrestler kind of under his wing, Naomi, and all of a sudden her social media shithousery just elevated. And she's currently the women's champion. And a lot of it is because of her popularity online. Right. Because she's such a dick on social media. And she's been quite honest that Drew taught her everything she knows. Like just being an ultimate shithouse. So, yeah, good on him. Well, good luck to Luke. I hope that's, does well. Fantastic.
He certainly looks the part anyway. Okay, that's my first story. What's your first story this episode?
My first story is from the Scottish Sun this week, Greg, and this is why we can't have nice things in Scotland. As you're aware, as it's been in the papers all week and all over social media, a little film called Spider-Man 4 has been filming in Glasgow.
A little independent movie?
Yeah, I don't know. Might check it out. I don't know if I'll see if any cinemas are showing it when it's released. But yeah, they've been filming in Glasgow. Glasgow is, I guess, doubling up as New York, or I don't know. It depends where.
No, it's New York.
Going to be set. It is New York. It's going to be. This is an exclusive from the Scottish Sun, and the headline is Spider Bams. So you can maybe guess what's going on here. Spider-Man is facing off against a new gang of villains. Chancers swiping props from the set of the upcoming blockbuster before escaping on bikes. Thieves are giving production staff the runaround by pinching street and shop signs for the film being shot in Glasgow. Like, typical. We can't have nice things. Crew have transformed city centre streets into downtown New York by swapping out road markers, advertising boards, and bringing in trademark yellow taxis, NYPD police cars, and a hot dog cart. Security teams have been drafted in to protect set decorations, with filming underway for Marvel's Spider-Man: Brand New Day, due to be released next summer. A source told the Scottish Sun on Sunday, guards have been having a tough time trying to keep visitors out. Fans have been coming in droves to try and catch a glimpse of the set. Some have been taking props, with 4 signs going missing in one night. Security try to chase them down, but they're getting on these bikes, and off they go before they can catch them. Bosses aren't happy because everything was looking great. Collectors will pay good money for genuine film props. The film is the 4th instalment of the rebooted franchise, starring Tom Holland, 29, as the web-slinging superhero. Offices, shops and bars in Bothwell Street are doubling for Manhattan, with buildings flying stars and stripes flags and motors covered with branding for Big Apple Films. A taco truck and American roadworks cones and signs have also been brought in. Props are being stored in nearby streets with waist-high metal railings put in place to stop the public from gaining access. waist high. That's not going to put anyone off. A cab was launched into the air as a tank raced down the road during scenes for the £150 million production. Dozens of guards in high-vis vests and walkie-talkies have been ordered to protect the set. One said, "It's terrible. We can't leave anything lying around." Filming began this week with no sign yet of Brit actor Tom Holland or fiancée Zendaya, but we know we were there, so I guess this was before they appeared.
Yeah.
Stranger Things actor Sadie Sink and Mark Ruffalo, who stars as the Hulk in the studio's Avengers films, are also slated to appear in the film, alongside Malcolm Mando, who plays baddie Scorpion. Filming comes just weeks after the same street was shut during shooting of Star Wars director J.J. Abrams' upcoming fantasy adventure Ghostwriter. Marvel Studios and Police Scotland have been approached for comment. So, we can't have nice things, Greg, because people are fucking stealing the street signs for Spider-Man. I mean,
it's hardly a surprise. You know what I mean? And it could happen in any city. I have been following not following it, but it's been on my Instagram a lot. I know that Tom Holland has been there, and he's been filmed there, and he actually there was a nice video of him signing some autographs for some Scottish fans, and there was a wee boy dressed up as Spider-Man that he lifted over the barrier and posed for a photo with and stuff. But I've read that him being there might just be for the marketing of the film, because it seems to be mostly stunts that are being filmed, which I know that he's quite a limber guy and he does some of the gymnastic-y stuff, but the stunts that are being filmed are like the web slinging stunts. I'm sure they probably don't attach him to a wire and do that. It's probably too insurance nightmare. But yeah, no, I mean, I liked it. He just seems like a nice fella, Tom Holland, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does. Like a nice...
A good egg, you know?
Yeah, nice kind of innocent guy. Like, obviously, famously spoils a lot of things for the films in terms of when he's doing press and stuff. But, like, total accidentally. Like, he just seems a bit innocent. But yeah, he seems like a really nice guy. And I did see, I think it was an Instagram video, someone commenting on the filming and saying exactly that it's just a marketing stunt that he's there. And there was him in the Spider-Man suit on top of something with his mask off, pretending to shoot webs. And they were like, well, obviously that's not from the film, because he's not going to have his mask off in front of all those people. Because I guess, spoiler if you haven't seen the first three Spider-Man films, but I guess he's kind of just got his identity back, if that makes sense. So I think that's probably just a marketing stunt, but who knows? We'll see. But it's good.
Did you see the video of the guy that they had to chase off the set? Like some fucking wido. And they're chasing him. He's pretending to shoot webs at the security guards and dancing out their way.
Well, it's good. I mean, Glasgow, as you say, J.J. Abrams is filming there. We've said a lot. There's a lot of great films. You know, it's still a big kind of hub. You know, went to see the Fantastic Four last weekend, and prior to that, there was a trailer for the new Running Man film, which I know you've seen as well. Yeah. And I'd said to my girlfriend, some of that was filmed in Glasgow. And she's like, really? And I was like, yeah. It's a big filming location for a lot of stuff. So it's good.
Good tax breaks, I think, for the film company. And Glasgow lends itself quite well to being dressed up, because it's designed like an American. The city centre is, at least anyway. I remember when I was there, I took my daughters, just the three of us, over about 6 years ago, and it's when they were filming Hobbs and Shaw, the Fast and the Furious spin-off. And Glasgow was doubling for London, and they were having car chases around the Merchant City, which when I saw the film was quite cool. Although, because it's like Idris Elba and Jason Statham and The Rock like racing past buildings that I know really well, and like futuristic motorbikes and fast cars and stuff,
Yeah, you forget a lot of stuff. Funnily enough, this morning I was listening to a podcast that had Kieran Hodgson on it, who of course plays Gordon in Two Doors Down, and sandwich shop guy in The Flash. And he was speaking, he's actually he's performing at the Fringe, and I think his show is called something, Your Sandwich Comes with an American Accent, or something like that. And it's about how he got cast in The Flash and he thought, this is it. This is it. I am going to fucking make it. And he hasn't. And he kind of blames Ezra Miller for it because he's like, because the film flopped. And he says basically because the film star Ezra Miller went on this fucking multi-state rampage before the film was released. And he lists some of the stuff that he did. He's like, Grand Theft Auto in Hawaii, something in somewhere else. He goes, and my favourite Scrabble bingo one is kidnapping in Massachusetts. So I don't know if he's a bit resentful of Ezra Miller, but it was good because he was saying how Glasgow, he lives in Glasgow and how it was great, it kind of doubles up as Gotham and stuff. And how it was it's such a great film location, and they filmed it there because it was so much cheaper than filming it in the States. Yeah, they also what's his name? The Spanish director has just filmed Frankenstein in Edinburgh. Oh, is Benicio del Toro? That's the actor, isn't it? Benicio del Toro. Oh, Jesus. Who am I thinking? Yeah, Benicio del Toro is the actor. Yes. Fuck's sake. Now I'm totally blanking as well on the director's name. That's terrible. Begins with a G, I think. It's Guillermo del Toro. Yeah, that's him. Yeah. That's him. That's the very man. Jesus, God, oh my God. Oh, I'm blanking out on that. He has, There was a story about Shia LaBeouf almost getting in a square goal with some guy in Edinburgh because his girlfriend is in Frankenstein and was just out for a couple of quiet pints and started to get fucking... That's right. I don't think it takes much to wind Shia LaBeouf up. So. No, definitely not. Definitely not. He's sort of constantly on the edge. Yeah, good old Shia. Anyway, so that's why we can't have nice things in Scotland. But yes, maybe more films will continue to film in Glasgow if they stop getting stuff pinched. Anyway, what else have you seen this week, buddy? Well, it's a bit of a celebrity special on the Swally news up until now, anyway. So one of the stars of the film we'll be talking about later, what we did on our holiday, Billy Connolly, his friend is writing a new biography. His friend Colin McFarlane is writing a new biography of Billy about his sort of adventures in celebrity and the big un's early brushes with the law before he found fame are set to be one of the highlights of the book. So Colin has written a take on the celebrities that Billy has befriended over the years, such as Sean Connery, Andy Murray, Michael Parkinson, Judi Dench, Steve Martin, Rod Stewart, Robin Williams and Michael Caine. They're among the 200 names who feature in the book Sir Billy Connolly, King of Comedy and his famous pals. But during his 18 months of research for the book, Colin discovered that Billy had racked up a number of criminal convictions and even spent a night in the cells in his pyjamas before he became an international superstar. Colin has given Billy's brushes with the law its own chapter and says underworld figures, including the famous safe cracker Johnny Raminsky and Glasgow hardman Colin Beattie, had an impact on the comic. The author discovered Billy's criminal past in a series of interviews that the comic gave to the journalist Duncan Campbell almost 50 years ago for a forgotten 1976 biography titled Billy Connolly, the authorised version. It came out a year after Billy had made his big breakthrough with his first appearance on the Michael Parkinson show. Colin says, Billy's criminal record appeared to have started when he was caught playing football and fined £0.50, approximately 25p, at the Marine Police Court in Partick. After that, he got done for siphoning petrol because he ran out of gas for his motorbike and had no money on him. Local garages would not give him credit, and he was faced having to push his bike back home to Drumchapel, so he was left with no alternative. He siphoned it off using a hose and a can and was fined £15 in court. He then assaulted a guy in Bearsden and spent a night in jail at the Milngavie police station. He thought it was very funny as the police came to arrest him at his house and he was already in his pyjamas. He looked out the window and saw the police coming, so he put his shirt and his jeans over the pyjamas. When he was taken away and put in a police cell, took off his clothes and lay in bed getting ready to sleep. When a policeman peered through the spy hole in the door, the police officer said, "Well, I've seen them come and go, but never in pyjamas." In the same 1976 book, Billy described how he was fined £15 and given a year's suspended sentence when he was 18 after another fight
when he came to the rescue of a young woman who was being assaulted. Colin added, as a young man, Billy was also amazed at how the judicial system treated the working classes compared to the middle classes. The working classes seemed to get done for everything, but the middle classes seemed to get away with it all. In 1976 interviews, Billy also admits being in court for several breaches of the peace for shouting and bawling and getting various £2 fines. But the big un was soon one of the country's most recognisable people. Another big name in Glasgow at this time was Arthur Thompson Sr., who ruled the city's underworld. Colin said, there's a story that Arthur Thompson had met Billy in a pub and had said, they call you the big un. Do you know that I'm the real big un? But no one knows if this story is actually true, but it was a measure of Billy's growing fame that these kind of stories were beginning to circulate. Billy had previously spoken of his admiration for the safecracker Johnny Rominsky, who escaped 5 times from Peterhead prison. In the Second World War, Rominsky parachuted behind enemy lines to steal documents. Colin said that Billy sees Rominsky as a lovable rogue and a working class hero. Despite being a notorious thief, he had a strict code of personal ethics, which included never resorting to violence when caught, earning him the nickname Gentle Johnny. And another underworld figure who appears to have impressed Billy was the hard man Colin Beattie. Billy once said, good-looking Beattie, who was said to run Partick, where Billy once lived, was like an escapee from Hollywood. To Billy, he was a legendary figure in Partick. So Sir Billy Connolly and his famous pals is available in paperback from Amazon at £10.95, which strikes me as quite expensive for a paperback, but there it is if you want to read it.
I think that's how much they are nowadays, Greg.
Is it really?
Yeah, it is actually. Yeah, I bought a paperback. I haven't bought books a lot for a while, but I've kind of got back into it for some reason, like got back into buying books. And yeah, I bought Fern Brady's book, and I'm sure I got it was like €9 on Amazon, but I'm sure the price on the back was like $10.99 for paperback in the UK. They're expensive now. Yeah.
My daughter just came back. My daughter just got back from a week in Glasgow. That's the first time she's 17. It's the first time she's made a trip like that on her own. And she was fine, but she was complaining at how expensive. Bear in mind that she lives in Dubai. She was complaining how expensive she found everything in the UK.
Yeah.
So she was.
It is though. It is expensive. Everywhere's expensive. But yeah, so Billy had a little bit of a cheeky past. I mean, I think we all knew that. Come on. He was worked in the shipyards. So of course he had a bit of an illustrious past. And what was he was filmed? He was fined £50 for a bit
I played football in a no-ball games area.
That's shocking. Absolutely shocking. I mean, I bet that policeman a few years later had a good story to tell everybody that he once caught Billy Connolly playing football in a no-ball games area and fined him £50.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's sort of. I've read Pamela Stevenson's autobiography about she's Billy Connolly's wife. So she wrote a biography of him years ago, which I read, which was good. And then he wrote his own autobiography a couple of years ago, which I have to say isn't as good as Pam. I don't think so. I think she's just a better, no offence to the big un, I think she's just a better writer than him. You know what I mean? It was still entertaining, but you know what both books agree on is that he was a nightmare when he had too much to drink.
Yeah.
You know? Sort of famously, he's been sober for over 40 years at this point, clean and sober, but you know, back in the old days, I think he was a bit of a harridan with a few pints and a few shorts in him.
Yeah, I think the demon drink, it can get to us all in terms of having a bit of a laugh and maybe taking things a bit too far. And even as sober, Connolly's quite an extreme character anyway. So adds alcohol is a bit like putting petrol on a fire and just watching it go. So I can imagine he was up to all sorts of shenanigans when he'd had a few beers. But yeah, I think we've all done stuff that we probably shouldn't have with a bit of booze in us. But it's lovely to see her. That'll be a an interesting take then, that book, in terms of all his kind of famous friends and stuff he got up to. I'm sure there's some wonderful stories about, people like Robin Williams and stuff in there that would be, very interesting to read, I think.
Well, I remember Michael Caine telling a story about Billy Connolly when they were making, there's a movie, I've seen it, it's not a very good film, but he's in a film, Michael Caine, called Water. It's sort of set in Sierra Leone or somewhere in Africa, and apparently there's a scene when they were all in the bus driving on a sort of narrow road up a cliff, and maybe it wasn't a scene, maybe it was just that they were just going somewhere on a bus, and Connolly was pissed and apparently kept putting his hands over the driver's eyes.
Yeah, there's funny and then there's dangerous. Yeah,
had to be restrained by a few of the cast and crew by all accounts. Anyway, that's my last story this week. What are you finishing us with?
My last story is from the Scottish Sun from last week, Greg, and it is the headline is "Green and White Wedding." A Celtic daft bride donned her wedding dress to a game at Parkhead as part of a dare by social media followers. Laura McGovern, 52, was set to tie the knot today, but the marriage was called off before she walked down the aisle. Not wanting to put her £3,000 wedding dress to waste, she decided to wear it for a day at the match. The mum of 5, who creates TikToks under the name Big Oily Ching Ching, just leave that there, said she was dared by followers to don the marital get-up at the game. She drove herself from her home in Glasgow's Castlemilk and was helped by a pal to get to the stadium for the Hoops clash against St Mirren. Laura told the Scottish Sun, "I was supposed to get married a while back ago and we'd arranged a big wedding and everything. I bought the dress, the rings, the lot, and I was with him, but I ended up calling the wedding off. So I was left with the wedding dress and the venue and everything all paid for, that I paid for, mind you, and my TikTok followers dared me to wear my wedding dress today and make out that I was getting married." After taking her seat in the Lisbon Lions stand, she ended up with a spectacular reception from her fellow fans. She was constantly being asked for photos and laughs as she told fans she had left her man waiting at the altar. One bold Hoops fan even joked about marrying her on the spot. Laura added, "It was absolutely amazing. People were running up. People were taking selfies with me. People were saying congratulations. People were laughing. People were saying, 'Oh, congratulations, where's your husband?' I was just saying I left him because I wanted to come to the Celtic game, and it was just brilliant. I couldn't even get out the stadium until people stopped taking photos of me. It was crazy, absolutely crazy. It was actually quite a lot. Somebody did say to me, 'Oh, that's a shame. I'll marry you just now.'" Laura ended up having to leave before she could see her team's 1-0 win because the dress was causing issues. She said her wedding dress wasn't the best for sitting in the Sunday sun or going to the football. The heat became such an issue that she had to leave at half-time, but still reckons it was worth it. The mum said, "A few times I nearly went flat on my face. It was very difficult. And I was roasting. I was roasting hot sitting there watching the game. I had to leave at half-time. I wish I'd stayed, but I was just too warm. I was melting because it was a very, very heavy dress, but it was worth it to do that. I enjoyed it. I drove my car in the wedding dress, and then I walked it through the streets. It was actually crazy. I could barely see over the steering wheel. It took me about an hour and a half to get through a couple of streets to the actual stadium, and I struggled to get away with it as well. I was just happy to get to the game. I've been a Celtic fan my whole life, but as a single mum of 5 kids, I can't afford to take them all." But she says the whole thing was worth it to see her team play and come away with a good story to tell. So there you go, Greg. She wore her £3,000 wedding dress to a Celtic match. And she's got a good story to tell.
Are you sure she was the one that called it off? She wasn't abandoned at the altar.
Hey, we just go with what she says. She says she called the wedding off. She paid for everything, but she called the wedding off. And but yeah, wanted to get the good out of her dress and wear it to see the Hoops in her wedding dress. You ever bought anything for a special occasion and it hasn't turned out, and then you've worn it somewhere else or anything?
I don't think so. I'm pretty sure. I mean, fortunately, the last big expensive sort of outfit that I laid money out for was my kilt and everything else that goes with it. Fortunately, my wife turned up to get married, so and I've had a fair use out of it. It's almost 20 years, and I can't remember the last time I wore it. Maybe my sister's wedding. It's been a while since I wore it. So I've not been at a wedding for ages.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think my last wedding was my sister's, and that was like 6 years ago.
Yeah, I've been invited to a wedding in England in November. So I was like, okay, that's kind of perfect kilt weather. So
Yeah.
I need to try it all on and see if it's still all good. I'm sure it'll still be fine. The only thing, I might need a new shirt or something, but I'm pretty sure it should all be okay. But I'm going to try it on within the next few weeks so that I've got time in case I need to order anything.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I'm really proud of my kilt because it's in my, my second name should be McPhee, if not for the forcible name change that I went through when my mum remarried when I was 8. So when my kilt is in the McPhee tartan, which I'm quite proud of. The only thing, not to be, uncharitable to my ancestors, but I wish it was not quite as red. Like it was the colours were a wee bit darker because it's quite bright red. The McPhee tartan. I wish it was like a sort of purpley black colour,
Oh, never mind. You'd be proud to wear it. Well, you could wear it to a football match, Greg, if you ever fancy that, and just joke that you were the dashing bride or something, or the groom.
You used to like to get your kilt on to go to the Scotland games, didn't you?
I did, yeah. A couple of times went to a Scotland game, I'd get my kilt on. I think it was just that kind of period of time. I mean, even going to the pub, I would get my kilt on to go watch like a Scotland game or Six Nations or something. It was just always let's be honest, it was just an excuse to go out and drink and wear the kilt, and obviously it would attract female attention. That was why we did it back in the day.
When my wife and I were on our honeymoon, we were on a Royal Caribbean cruise, and they said, when they sent us the itinerary in the sort of months before we went away, they said there'd be 2 formal nights for dinner, and if you wanted to go, you had to dress in sort of black tie. So my wife said, well, why don't you take your kilt and everything? So I did, and I was a bit of a hit in my kilt because we sailed from Los Angeles. So the majority of the people on the ship were Americans, and a big percentage of those Americans were students on spring break. And on the second night, the second formal night in the second week, quite a lot of them wanted a photograph with me. And they didn't want a photograph with Paula.
Oh.
Paula was my wife, that is. She was a bit excluded. But yes, I'm quite attractive. Not just girls, but also boys as well, like guys. I wanted a picture taken. I had a really good night with them because my wife went off to bed relatively early, and I found myself, I sat at the bar on my own because I'd struck up a bit of a rapport with the bartender, and I wanted just to get right on it. And then when the bar closed, the only bar that was open was the casino, and a lot of the young guys in the casino were people who had wanted their picture taken. So I ended up in a round and had a great evening, and woke up the next day not feeling the best. And when you're in a cruise ship cabin, like the cheapest one, there's no windows, and it's hard enough to get in and out of the kilt gear in a well-lit room sober. Getting it off in a fucking pitch black room hammered. I mean, there should be a taskmaster task. It's really difficult, and especially when you're trying not to wake up your new wife.
Yeah, many a morning I've woken up with just my kilt just strewn on the floor in various bits, just all over the place. And it's a sad thing, hungover, having to pick it all up and pack it all away and put it all in its boxes and everything. So yeah.
Have you ever woken up in your kilt? You've had too much to drink, just fallen asleep. They've woken up absolutely roasting.
Yeah, I have. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. It's not a nice thing. It's not comfortable to sleep in. No, not really. No, it's not the nice. Very sweaty.
Yeah, big heavy bit of material into the old kilt.
Yeah, it is. So I'm hoping it'll be fine for a November wedding in Englandshire. So I'm sure.
Whereabouts in England are you going?
Cheltenham, I think. Yeah.
Ooh, Cheltenham, fancy posh place.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
It is indeed.
Oh, well.
Have a nice time.
Thanks very much. We'll see. But yeah, so that was our blushing bride at Celtic Park. Have you seen anything else this week, buddy?
I have not.
Okay. Would you like to play a little round of Greg versus AI?
I'm ready. Let's go.
All right.
Yeah. Yeah, it's time to play a little Swally game. If it's Pish, Nicky, and Greg, take no blame. We're recasting famous stuff with a Scottish cast. If the feature is rubbish, it probably won't last. We'll get right down to the fine nitty gritty and put Cosmo and Costello in Sex in the City. So sit back and enjoy a fine Scottish pie and listen to the treat that is Greg versus AI.
Okay, this is our new feature, Greg versus AI. We launched it last episode where we pitted AI against Greg of who had the best cast list for Breaking Bad. But this week, you've picked something completely different, haven't you, Greg? What are we looking at this week?
I've picked one of my favourite. This is probably in my top, definitely my top 10 favourite films, quite possibly my top 5. And I picked Paul Thomas Anderson's inaugural feature film, Boogie Nights, from 1997.
Boogie Nights. Mark Wahlberg and Burt Reynolds, John C. Reilly, Philip Seymour Hoffman. What a cast. What a cast. But AI have come up with a new storyline and cast list for Boogie Nights. So we're going to see who did it better. So AI, I think we're going to find this, like, they tend to go with basically the original film and just put a slight little twist on it.
Yeah.
But the cast list they've come up with, I think, is quite all right. We're going to see how this goes. So they have called it Boogie Nights of the Clyde. Set in 1970s, 80s Glasgow, chip shop worker Eddie McTaggart is discovered by an underground filmmaker and becomes Dirk McSteele, a local adult film icon. Amid disco, videotape, and drug-fueled chaos, he must find his true self.
Wow. That's pretty good.
It's not bad. I mean, I'd definitely cover that in the Swally, without a doubt. Have you come up with a little remake, or?
I have. So I've got, I'm keeping the setting in the 1970s, and I've called it Skirlin Nichts.
Brilliant.
So Eddie Conn, C-O-N-N, is a glass washer at the Scotia Bar, where pioneer of Scots stag and grot films, Jackie Horner, hangs out, and he happens to be having a pish beside Eddie one night, and he can't help but notice that Eddie's got like a massive walloper on him. So he quickly recruits Eddie into his company of actors, where he becomes a rising star. But, you know, with great fame comes great responsibilities.
Oh, wow. That's exciting. Definitely. I'd love to see that. Glass washer at the Scotia. Fantastic. Wonderful. Okay, so we need a cast for this this Scottish remake. So in the role of Eddie Adams, or Dirk Diggler, famously played by Mark Wahlberg in the 1997 original, AI has decided to cast Lewis Gribben.
Interesting.
Yeah, could be. What about yourself?
Well, I went for, because I'm thinking an actor with physicality, who's also quite handsome. You know, so I've gone with Jack Lowden, and I've changed his stage name to Wally Welt.
Wally Welt. Holy fuck. Okay. Wally Welt. Okay, that's better than Dirk McSteele. AI have just kind of gone a little bit generic with that. Okay, I think we'd have to go with Jack Lowden, because he does nothing with Lewis Gribben, but he has a little bit more of the handsomeness, I think.
Yeah.
So I think we'll go with Jack Lowden in that role, definitely. Okay. Then of course we have Jack Horner, played by Burt Reynolds. AI have decided to give that role to Peter Mullen.
Right. Now, I did not give it to Peter Mullen. I was thinking to myself, Burt Reynolds.
Yeah.
Good looking guy.
Yeah.
Very, very funny, but can also go serious as well when he has to.
Oh, yeah.
So I went with one of the stars of tonight's film, Billy Connolly. You see, Billy is a porn baron.
A younger Connolly, yes. Obviously not now.
No.
Yeah, I mean, I would say definitely over Mullen. Mullen doesn't, because if you look at Reynolds, he's a big guy, Reynolds. You know, a big guy. He's an American football.
Connolly was a big guy in his day as well, though. He's a big...
Oh, yeah, no, I'm agreeing with you on Connolly, rather than Mullen. You know, I think Connolly, he's got, because we've seen him. I'm thinking, like debt collector kind of era Connolly.
Yeah, lots of willy jokes.
Yeah, but with a bit more, humour.
Yeah, a bit more
Kind
nuance.
of, let's cross debt collector Connolly and down among the big boys Connolly. And
yes.
you kind of get a good little mix, I think, of... I would go with you, Greg. I think that's 2-0 to you.
Okay.
Okay, so the other cast members that we have Amber Waves, who was played by Julianne Moore in the original film. AI has decided to cast Kelly MacDonald in that role.
No, I've gone, so, Amber Waves, sort of older woman, sort of middle-aged woman. And I suppose that Kelly MacDonald is that. But I've gone for somebody who has a sort of unconventional attractiveness. Not adverse to doing a sex scene. I've gone for Michelle Gomez.
Yeah, oh yeah. Yeah, definitely. Just the right level of, play a bit different. And I can see that. Yeah,
would be good at doing the sort of manic, coked up.
Very much so.
Although I've not called her Amber Waves. I'm laughing at my own humour here. I've called her Ginger Lum.
Ginger Lum, brilliant. I've gone with Amber Glenn. But I think, Ginger Lum. I like it.
I just think that sort of the Scottish pornography industry in the 1970s, it's going to be a bit Reader's Wives, a bit escort, sort of working men's humour. You know what I mean? It's not going to be sort of classy California. It's going to be kind of East End of Glasgow nickname.
Yeah, it's definitely not going to be all champagne. It's going to be Kestrel. Definitely.
Yeah, Kestrel, Blue Nun.
Blue Nun, Baby Sham, flowing. Yeah, definitely. In the Scotia, of course, of all places. Reed Rothschild, played by John C. Reilly in the original film. AI has cast James McAvoy in that role.
It's not bad. I like McAvoy in it. I mean, I think that's one of his best roles. Like the Reed Rothschild, I don't know how many times you've seen Boogie Nights. I've seen it a lot of times, and I think he must be my favourite character, especially in the recording scene when he's just basically telling the producer to do what Dirk asks him to do when they're recording. You've got the touch of Transformers the movie. So I've gone for a slightly older character because he always seemed a wee bit like a fair bit older than Dirk in Boogie Nights. I've gone with Craig Ferguson.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
I could see that. I
try to keep up with a younger guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I would go with you again on that. And yeah, he's definitely got a bit more about him. I think McAvoy definitely has the chops to pull that off, but I could see, Craig Ferguson would be a little bit more larger than life in that role. Yeah.
A younger McAvoy might have made a good Wally Welt, you know?
He would have actually, yeah. Yeah, I think he might have done.
What's AI called, Reed?
They've called him Reedy Campbell.
Oh, I've called him Richie McRider.
Yes, definitely better. Definitely better. Okay, Scotty J, played by Philip Seymour Hoffman. AI has decided to give that role to Martin Compston.
That's not bad, actually. I could see that. If I thought he's too old now, but a young Alan Cumming would have made a good Scotty J, I think.
Yeah.
A young Alan Cumming, but I've not cast him because I've sort of tried to be a bit more contemporary, and I've cast Lewis Gribben as Scotty.
Okay, interesting. Yeah,
he's got that sort of put upon kind of countenance that Philip Seymour Hoffman has in Boogie Nights.
Yeah, he does. You're right, actually. Yeah, no, I'm gonna have to give that one to you as well. Yeah, you're running away with this, mate. You definitely. Trouncing AI. Who else have you got listed?
I've got Buck, played by Don Cheadle. I've got Little Bill and Roller Girl.
Okay. You don't have Todd Parker, played by Thomas Jane.
No, because he's only sort of in the last act of the film. He's not really in it all the way through, you know.
That's good, because AI cast Kevin Guthrie in that role. Okay, Buck Swope is recast as Bucky Swope. So the little Bucky element, I don't think they did that on purpose. I don't know. Maybe they did. Originally played by Don Cheadle. I am going to butcher the pronunciation of this name because I don't watch Doctor Who, but it's Nkuti Gatwa.
So I've chosen the Nkuti Gatwa because because of Buck's story in Boogie Nights, his ethnicity is important to his story, so it had to be a black actor. So I've changed his name. I changed his name to an African name, the character from Buck. I've changed his name to Moshe the Tongue.
Oh, wow. I like it. I like it. Works on very different levels as well. Nice. Okay. Yeah, I'll have to go with, that's a draw. So, because it passed the same actor. Okay, Little Bill, played by William H. Macy in the original, renamed as Little Bill McDougall in the Scottish version of Boogie Nights. They've gone with Gary Lewis.
I've gone with the very same.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah, he'd be good. I changed his name to Wee Bill because Bill is sort of Scottish. Feels a bit, kind of North Atlantic, doesn't it? I went with Wee Bill. I think, Gary Lewis, probably the right age and everything to be that character. Okay.
I've given you, for that and Nkuti, I've given you both a point each rather than just stay it as a thing. And finally, Roller Girl, played by Heather Graham in the original. Jessie Roller Girl MacLeod in the Scottish remake. And AI have cast, again, a name that's cropped up, I think, in the last 3 episodes. We really need to get round to watching this. Lauren Lyle from Karen Perry.
Oh, yeah. So I didn't go with her.
Did you cast Marley Sue as Roller Girl?
Yeah, I did, because I thought we needed a bit more a bit more diversity in the cast.
I fucking knew you'd cast any excuse to get Marley Sue in something.
Although I've kept the name Roller Girl, but she wouldn't be wearing those fancy roller boots. She'd be wearing those roller skates that you used to sort of strap onto your shoes back in the 70s.
I know exactly the ones you mean.
You could adjust the length underneath if you had a pair of pliers or a wee socket wrench.
They're the ones that Ur Willie used to wear, wasn't it?
Yeah, exactly. They could strap to his big tackety beats.
Fantastic. I was kind of half joking. I was like, have you cast Marley Sue? But I kind of thought you might. Okay. Wonderful. Right. Well, that is the Scottish version of Boogie Nights. I have counted up the scores, and I gave AI a couple of points for Nkuti and Gary Lewis, but I gave you as well. So of the 8 characters cast, Greg has 8 points and AI has 2, because it was obviously a sympathy kind of draw there. But another win for Greg versus AI.
Again. Indeed.
Greg wins again. Greg wins again.
So, once again, if anybody wants a treatment for the Scottish version of Breaking Bad or Skirling Nichts, I'm available. Give me a call. 2,000 words.
Yeah. Better than AI. And it's official. It's 2-0. What a streak Greg's on. So tune in the next episode to find out what we will be tackling next in Greg versus AI.
And I managed to come up with that without melting a fucking iceberg. Just saying.
All right, shush, we're using this as a feature. Jesus. Okay, right. Before we get into any more trouble, and before we go on to what we're going to be talking about today, let's have a little word from our sponsors.
If you book your summer holiday at AT Mays now, you could save over £50 with all our Thrifty 50 bonuses. Yes, £50 just for you at AT Mays.
Okay, Greg, so it was your choice of what we're going to be talking about on the podcast today, and very aptly timed. So why don't you tell us what we're going to be talking about?
Well, I went with what looked to me to be a fairly gentle, hopefully fun, well-cast comedy, which it is until a certain incident happens in the film which kind of turns it on its head, which we'll get to talk about in depth, no doubt, very shortly. But I went for 2014's comedy drama, What We Did on Our Holiday. So separated couple Doug and Abby MacLeod travel from London to the Highlands with their 3 children, Lottie, Mickey and Jess, for Doug's father, Gordy's 75th birthday. For the sake of appearance, they keep the separation a secret from Doug's family. Gordy has terminal cancer, which he is keeping a secret from everybody. On the day of his party, he passes away on an outing on the beach with the grandkids, leading to what can best be described as a bizarre turn of events. The film stars David Tennant and the lovely, lovely Rosamund Pike as Doug and Abby, Ben Miller and Amelia Billmore as Gavin MacLeod, Doug's brother, and Margaret, his sister-in-law, and Billy Connolly as the poorly Gordy. Directed by Greg Jenkins and Andy Hamilton. It's available on BBC iPlayer because Guy Jenkins and Andy Hamilton are also responsible for long-running BBC sitcom Outnumbered, which this is sort of adjacent to. Stylistically, in some respects, it's quite similar. So, I had never seen it. I think it's a safe bet to assume you had never seen it either.
No. Why would you assume that?
I mean, it does fit all your criteria. Filmed in Scotland. It's only an hour and 35 minutes long, and it's set in the modern day.
That's true. That's very true, actually.
But it also passed me. It's an 11-year-old movie, and it passed me by as well when it first came out. So it's holiday time. Seemed like the perfect time to pick it. What were your first impressions of what we did on our holiday?
Well, I'd heard about the film, and I was aware of it, of course, as you say. You know, David Tennant and Rosamund Pike, Billy Connolly, knew York. But first time watching it, and same as I thought. It'd be a little gentle comedy. I kind of knew the premise. They were getting divorced. They were hiding it from the family. That was all I knew.
I knew that too, yeah.
The father, Granddad had terminal cancer. I didn't know anything about that. So I thought it would just be hijinks of them hiding the divorce, and then something would happen, and then they would get back together, and it would be happily ever after or something with hijinks. I have to say, it was all right. Like, I laughed a few times. I was engaged, probably because the cast, it's not exactly a masterpiece, but it was okay. No. And it had some good moments. I would say I hadn't read about it, as I say, and about 15 minutes in, I thought to myself, and I wrote down in my notes, this is a bit of a rip-off of Outnumbered.
Yeah.
Because I did watch Outnumbered, and I liked Outnumbered. And I thought it was really good. I love Hugh Dennis, and I thought it was very well done. And it shows that this kind of concept works in 30 minutes. Yeah. Doesn't work when you have an hour and a half of it. So when it ended, and I looked it up, and I was like, oh, of course, it's by Andy Hamilton and Guy Jenkins, who, of course, created and wrote Outnumbered. Now, as you said, like the film's set up with the premise, they're getting a divorce, try to hide it from the kids. I have to admit, so I thought it'd be 90 minutes of that, but then as you say, it goes completely off kilter and in a totally different direction. And I have to say, I was not expecting what happened. And thank God for that, is it was so much better kind of than I anticipated. Because there was little bits, I mean, we'll come on and discuss, but there was one moment I was like, what the fuck? And it was... It goes crazy. But it's nice. I mean, it's heavily reliant on the kids. And like I say, they did make me laugh quite a few times in the first 10 minutes, and then I kind of didn't laugh much after that.
I mean, I would agree. That kind of comedy. The problem is that the wee girl that's in Outnumbered, Ramona, the actress Ramona Marquez that plays the youngest girl in Outnumbered, she is like an adult. Well, she's an adult now, but back then she was like an adult in a little person's body. you know what I mean?
Which is why it was so funny.
Whereas, I mean, the actors who play the kids in this movie are good, but the youngest girl, the character who's the character Jess, she's kind of it's like they're trying to get her to be like Karen from Outnumbered. Yes. And she's, look, God love her, but she just doesn't have that edge that Ramona Marquez has. So she's got some great moments, and she's as sweet as anything. It's in some moments, but because you know that the film it's by design supposed to be like sort of Outnumbered adjacent and in the style of it, you can't help but compare her to Ramona Marquez, and unfortunately she doesn't quite hit the mark. I think the more effective character of the three kids is Lottie, the older one, because, you know, she's got a bit more of an objective rather than just to do funny things. And she's got some nice scenes with Billy Connolly, and she's the sort of conscience, she's kind of conscience of the film, you know?
I think you're right. Outnumbered kind of works because one, it's in small doses of half hour, but two, the three child actors, they're very relatable in a way because they're kind of like, as you say, Karen is very like an adult, and she asks adult questions, and she's very serious and, you know, very serious. Then the middle child, Ben, is just this loud monster kind of, you get the impression he's a bit dumb, but he just kind of, you know, is very loud all the time and fighty. And then the eldest child, Jake, I think, played by Tiger G. Honey, he is like a moody teenager. And, you know, it works in that setting as well because you have the three different dynamics. I kind of felt sorry for the kids in this because, I mean, the film has a serious undertone in like divorce and separation.
Sure. Yeah,
Outnumbered, it's usually quite light, the subject matter. It's, you know, the storylines, it's something that's relatable and funny.
Yeah. Those kids aren't setting fire to any dead bodies and Outnumbered.
No, they're definitely not. So looking at the kids objectively from this, I thought that, well, Jess is obviously going through some kind of issues because her best friends are rocks and half a breeze block. She's also a kleptomaniac because she's stealing keys all the time. And she's self-harming because she's holding her breath until she blacks out.
And that's always a laugh.
Yeah. Mikey's obviously trying to go through the trauma by being obsessed with Norse mythology and Viking funerals and the kind of the supernatural and seeing Odin and stuff at every turn. And poor Lottie is so anxiety-ridden that she has to keep track of all the lies her family tell in a notebook so she doesn't mess up.
If that's not setting up a raucous comedy, I don't know what is.
Jeez, what the... Oh, what's that?
That's Eric.
Eric?
Yes, he wants to come to Scotland with us too.
Thing is, darling, Eric's a wee bit heavy, and... Well, hang on, there's a... What's this?
That's Norman.
That's half a breeze block. How did you even pick that up?
I can't sleep without Norman.
You sleep with this in your bed?
No, that would be stupid. He goes at the bottom of my bed to make sure the bad ones don't come in.
So there's bad stones and good stones?
Yeah, like in real life.
Sure.
I mean, that's the way I objectively viewed the kids in terms of the way they act to cast the characters that they're portraying in this. Now, obviously, it's not that way in terms of things. But I think a lot of for me, I mean, yes, there are some funny moments in terms of the kids when they're with Tennant and Pike in those situations. But for me, the kids really come into their own when they're with Connolly, and in particular from Annette Crosby. And it shows the fact that they're like grandparenty, and the scenes with Connolly and the kids, it's really sweet because you can just tell he's like a really nice granddad, and I bet the kids fucking loved him on set as well. And
I bet it was great fun.
The same with Crosby, you know, it's the line she delivers when she's speaking about the ostrich eggs, and she says, you know, came out the bottom, well, that's why they're so angry all the time. It's just brilliant. And when, you know, the kids are asking her, what's a lesbian? And she's, you know, it's so well done. It's really, really good element. I thought that was great. And yeah, the parts with Connolly, really sweet and really good. But yeah, some of the other parts, I mean, in particular, the parts where they're like winding up, like Greg's character. Is it Greg? Yeah. Gavin's character. Played by Ben Miller.
Yeah.
Some of they're quite funny in a way, but then Ben Miller's character, you know, you're not meant to like him, so it kind of doesn't work that well when he's kind of flying off the handle. Dunno. I realise that this is kind of Outnumbered the movie because they probably, I think Outnumbered, his main run had kind of just come to an end when this, I think there was only like a couple of specials after this. So I guess they kind of found, right, we need to try and kind of capture the success of this and do it with three different kids and make it into a film. And David Tennant's hot at the moment, and Rosamund Pike is obviously, you know, this came out the month or the week before Gone Girl came out in the UK. Right. So people that went to this, it came out the week before Gone Girl. So two very different roles for Rosamund Pike in a fortnight. Yeah. Because I listened to her being interviewed on Kermode and Mayo's podcast, and Simon Mayo, they spoke about this for a bit, and then they spoke about Gone Girl for a lot of it. And she'd said that she'd filmed this. She just finished. It was like the last week of filming. She got the confirmation that she'd got Gone Girl. So it must have been a while before this got released. And then she went off and worked with David Fincher. So yeah, very different kind of roles. But yeah, I don't know. The kids obviously make up a big part of the film, but then also I could have done without a lot of them.
Well, let me set the scene for you. So I only got the chance to watch this once, and I didn't get to watch it until Saturday because I knew we were recording today. So on Friday, my friend came round, had a few beers. Right, went to bed a wee bit drunk. I'd had a bit of a rough week with work. Was pretty tired from all the travelling that I'd done, not helped by going to bed quite late on Friday night in my cups. So I watched it on Saturday afternoon. A slight hangover, but enough of a hangover to be really quite upset when Billy Connolly died. Well, fortunately, I was home by myself. But obviously, having lost my own father to terminal cancer, to cancer, 3 years ago, it dug a few things up there, which I wasn't emotionally prepared for, because I thought I was sitting down to watch a light-hearted comedy about a couple who are separated, who would ultimately get back together again with a lovely reconciliation at the end. I was not prepared for Billy Connolly dying on a beach, being strapped to a pallet with a deck chair as a sail, have a 10-year-old pour petrol on him, set on fire, and drifted out to sea.
Like, we can effectively forget the first 45 minutes of this film. It's all set up to, and I thought exactly the same as you. They'll have a day at the beach, then they'll go back to the party, and like Geordie will get pissed or something, and something will happen, and the party will be ruined, but ultimately they'll get back together. You're right. When he fakes being dead, it's like, okay, it's a laugh, right? And then when he sees his brother,
because like, it's always a laugh tricking your grandchildren into thinking that you've died.
When he sees the vision of his brother, and he's like, oh, you're here for me. And then his brother says something like, come on, you big Mary, which is like a very fitting line. I mean, God. And then he dies. And I was like, oh, he's dead. I was like, okay. So then I presumed that the kids were going to, because they immediately kind of discuss, well, they'll go back and then they'll hide it. I thought they're going to maybe somehow hide it. I did not expect them to decide to give him a Viking funeral. And even when they're building it, I'm like, well, something's going to happen. Something's going to happen. The bit that I was like, oh, fuck, they're doing this, is when they pour petrol on him, as you just said. And I'm like, are they actually doing this? And they take out the matches, and I'm like, no, surely not. And then they light the match, and then, woof. And I'm like,
yeah, up he goes.
What the fuck? I really did not see that coming. I thought Annette Crosby's going to appear at any moment with an ostrich and will somehow stop them, and she'll console them, and they'll have like a little party or something, and it'll be fine. No, there's no one else on the beach at all, and these kids literally set fire to him and push him out to sea.
Well, when Lottie runs, the oldest daughter, Lottie, runs from the beach back to the big house to raise the alarm that Gordy has passed away. So I was like, and then when she gets there, she kind of runs into adults arguing, and they don't notice her because they're too busy arguing. And then she kind of hides up the chimney for a minute. And then she runs back to the beach, and I thought, surely not. They're surely not going to make these child actors pretend to set fire to Billy Connolly and push him out to sea. That's surely not going to happen. Come on. It does happen. That's exactly what happens.
It sounds so ridiculous when you say that. So yeah, Lottie goes back, and that is when Doug and Abby are having an argument, and that's the most I laughed in the film, that argument, because she's been getting phone calls from this guy Leon, and she tells him that she's moving to Newcastle potentially for this new job, and Tennant grabs the phone and he starts doing a Geordie accent, going, Leon, are you my kid's new daddy? And then and she grabs the phone and she says, look, Leon's going to be my new boss. The guy I'm screwing is a guy called Wallace. And it's off camera. You don't see it, but you just hear David Tennant goes, Wallace, does he have a dog called Gromit? And I burst out laughing so hard at that line. It's like,
that made me laugh as well.
Fantastic. But yeah, she goes in, as you say, hides up the chimney, steals his Scotland top, because Geordie he did play for Scotland once against Cyprus. He scored an OG and never played again. And yeah, then they burn him with the Scotland top. And I really could not believe what I was watching in terms of this. I just kept thinking someone's going to stop them. Someone's going to come in. And nothing.
I was weeping. As much as I was weeping tears from my own grief, I shed a few tears over burning that fucking Scotland jersey as well, because that was an absolute belter.
Yeah, it's a shame. And fair play, they get it. It sets sail when they push it out. I was quite marvelled at the engineering feat that they managed in terms of, because it starts
they sort of harness the heat of the fire to kind of blast out their makeshift, the sail of the deck chair, which ultimately propels the burning boats out to the sea. Crazy. So Billy Connolly's character in this gives us a couple of life lessons. One particular good one is there's no point being angry at the people you love for the way they are. And I thought, that's a nice one. Yeah. Another one he says is, the truth is every human being on this planet is ridiculous in their own way, so we shouldn't judge. We shouldn't fight, because in the end it doesn't matter. And then the third one is when he likens the Second World War to Monopoly, but with more screaming. I've never played Monopoly in my house before.
Connolly, he's great with the kids, and they're the scenes where he really shines. And you can tell he probably had a great time with them, and they probably had a great time with him. He comes across like really grandfatherly, and he not only puts up with their nonsense, he encourages it. You know, he gets Lottie to drive, and then she bashes into the no fire sign. He's like, I've always wanted to do that. He just portrays this grandpa that every kid would love. And when he dies, the kids don't really seem that shocked or arsed about it.
Well, they're too busy planning a Viking funeral. But the wee girl, Jess, says, what does she say? She says, goodbye, you were nice.
Yeah.
And I thought, that's quite poignant as well. I was in quite an emotion, quite a state of high emotion for about 20 minutes of that film. I had to pause it and compose myself.
Oh, sorry to hear that. But yeah, Lottie's very, not official, but she's very cold. In that
practical.
Moment. Oh, yeah, practical. Yeah, we did this at Brownies, and she, checks his pulse. He's not breathing, and checks his eyes and stuff. And yeah, it's very cold, kind of the way she's dealing with things. And it's just like, oh, he's dead. I better go and tell the grown-ups. And you're kind of looking for a bit more emotion. And, the other kids are like, oh, we'll guard the body. And I'm thinking, what's going to happen here? Something's going to happen. Someone's going to come. But no, nobody comes at all. And why not go and tell Annette Crosby? She's closer.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I know. It's all a bit weird how that scene's kind of built up. I wonder if they sort of got the kids to play it the way they played it to sort of add to the sort of screwball comedy element that they're sort of trying to go for. You know what I mean? Because the thing is, I think sort of tonally, it's always going to be difficult with a film like this, because you're going from the first time we see Mickey falls off the back of the sofa. Then we have the scene with David Tennant and Jess and the rocks, and then we have a little bit. There's some quite funny banter in the car when they're arguing about how long the journey's going to take, and the sat nav and whatnot, and you've got that funny moment when Billy Connolly is on the boat fishing, and he's got the TV in the bottom of the boat watching the racing, the horse racing and things. Yeah. So there's Jess stealing the keys, Mickey taking the helmets off, taking the horns off his helmet and all that kind of thing, and it's all kind of funny. Some of the jokes land quite well, some of the jokes a bit of a miss. And then, you can have a character die, but because Gordy has got cancer, which we know, and his sons and family think that it's under control and he's getting better. They don't understand that his treatment, he's having to stop it because it's putting a strain in his heart. The only way that we find out that Gordy has got terminal cancer, there's a couple of scenes when he's in severe pain, which that's always a laugh. And then there's this scene when he tells Lottie that, and he does tell her in quite a gentle way, but he tells her that, what's it he says? He said that it's like when you're being tickled. He says, when I used to tickle Doug when he was wee, and he would say, stop it, stop it, stop it. And I would stop, and then he would say, no, keep going, keep going. He said, I kind of feel a bit like that with life now that I know that I don't have very long left. Yeah. So, there's a real pathos there. And it's sort of made worse by the fact that apparently Billy Connolly was being, he had just discovered that he had prostate cancer and he'd had his Parkinson's diagnosis round about the time and he had that going on when he was making the film, and he didn't tell any of the cast or crew. They only found out after the fact. So there's a real emotion. There's a real emotional heft to that scene with Lottie. And it's almost too emotional for the rest of the film. You know what I mean? Because the rest of the film, it descends into a bit of a farce.
Yeah, it really does in terms of that. It's very... a lot of different parts kind of put together, and you're right, once they go back to the house, then it does become a complete farce in terms of the way that the adults are reacting, and then the press are all outside, and it does get a little bit ridiculous. And then Celia Imrie's character, child services, and going through Laurie's notebook and stuff, it does kind of struggle, and it kind of puts together different elements kind of from different films in a way, and kind of piecing them together. Like some bits are really out of place, like like Gavin and Margaret's son Kenneth, like he's an oddish character. Was he just there to have like another kind of odd child? But then you're kind of thinking, is he a bit of a weird child? Because when they're playing football, Gavin calls him a spaz, and then he tackles Jess, and okay, that was funny, I laughed, right? But then you're thinking Kenneth's a bit of a dick, and the violin recital, but then towards the end he's getting smelly fingers outside the tent, and you're like, hey, good on you, lad, go for it. And then he just comes in like, oh, what have I missed? And he's just kind of a superfluous character after that. And I just, wondered if they were just trying to piece different things together, like having that football match. What was the point of that? Just to show that Jess had the keys, or to show that another scene to show that Gavin's a bit of a dick, or what it was. But there was a lot of stuff that felt a little bit out of place. And I think I've already said about the kids and the kind of trauma that they've been going through. I mean, if you look at the relationship of Doug and Abby, I mean, there sounds like quite a ride. Like, we know that Doug cheated with a paraplegic athlete with one foot.
Perhaps the most unrealistic part of the film. Imagine who's going to cheat on Rosamund Pike with anybody.
I've got written in my notes, Greg. It has its moments. It's very far-fetched, though. The most far-fetched part has been that David Tennant would cheat on Rosamund Pike. But I can believe a few other aspects of the film. So he's cheated on her with a paraplegic athlete with one foot. The neighbour Lucy obviously fucking hates him. We know the police have been involved, and Doug has been tasered at one point. And then when they're in the toilet and she says, I will open the window and scream rape, he says, oh, not that again. And you're like, what the fuck? You two need to get divorced as soon as possible and get away from those kids. You're damaging them. So I know it's meant to be lighthearted. It's not at all. This film is seriously fucking dark undertones in it.
Yeah.
And of course, speaking about Gavin and Margaret, they're meant to be a little bit of comic relief. Margaret's on fucking antidepressants and is having meltdowns in the supermarket, and it's on YouTube. 4.5 million people have watched this clip, and they make a joke out of it at the end. And Gavin says, oh, including me, I've watched it 3 times. That's not funny. Why am I laughing at this? I didn't laugh at that, actually. I find that quite bad. But it's, there's a lot in this film that just doesn't hit the mark. And I can maybe see what they're trying to do, but not in a way. Like, you're trying to do too much here. You either make it into this nice, gentle kind of comedy, or you make it into a dark, kind of more serious film. But yeah, it kind of missed too many points and steps for me.
I wonder if, so the film's 11 years old, and a lot can change in terms of what is deemed acceptable and unacceptable. And certainly, you and I have spoken about this a lot of times in the podcast, but, like gallows humour, it seems to be a little harder to get away with these days. And I wonder if maybe, despite ourselves, we're looking at some elements of this film through a sort of 2025 lens. Whereas if we saw it in 2014, it might not have resonated in the same way. We might have had a chuckle at Margaret having a meltdown and bouncing a roll of toilet paper off someone's head in the supermarket. We might have had a laugh at Abby screaming rape to get the police to come to stop an argument. You know what I mean? I don't know. It's difficult. Or, it could just be as you've described. Maybe they've just completely missed the mark in terms of the tone of some of the humour.
Yeah, you could be right there, mate. Maybe we are looking at it through a more adult, as two men in our mid-40s, through a 2025 lens. Maybe. I'm trying to think. I don't know, though. I'm sure... I think if gallows humour is done in the right way... Look, last episode we looked at the match, and when Ian Holmes' character dies, it's quite funny, He still dies, but it's funny. I guess because of the way the character has been portrayed. Now, when Gordy dies, you're obviously meant to like him. And he's, it's Billy Connolly. How could you not like him? And, I mean, obviously, if he'd abused the kids down at the beach, then we wouldn't have liked him. But, we're not saying that. But he's a likeable character. When he dies, you genuinely feel sad. And you think, oh, no. Now, I don't know how you would have made it humorous. But for them to just then pour petrol on him and set him on fire is... It's not funny. Like, I just didn't... Really. It shocked me more than finding it funny. And, yeah, maybe you're right. Maybe if you'd been... I don't know. Maybe if you were a bad character, or maybe because it's Billy Connolly, I don't know. Would we have found it funnier? I think it's because it's kids doing it as well. Like, it's funny. I can laugh that she's got a breeze block that she calls Norman, that she sleeps at the end of her bed with. That's funny, because that's the kind of thing kids are meant to do. Kids aren't meant to set fire to bodies unless it's like rat catching.
Yeah, that's best set fire to the recently deceased.
Especially your granddad. But then it's true. Are they just... Because before that, Connolly does tell them what he wants for his funeral. He does say, I want to be basically set fire and put out to sea. He literally tells them that. So through the lens of kids just do what the adults tell them, or they take things literally, they do take it literally. So is it the kid's fault? They literally did what you said he wanted.
No. If I had to choose a kind of funeral, just give me a good old Viking funeral like my ancestors. Just stick me in a burning boat and float me out to sea. No stupid family fights, no stupid rows about who gets what or who does what. Just a warrior's farewell.
You have to think that there's going to be a lot of trauma to manage for these kids when they grow up. You know what I mean? A lot of trauma to get past, because they're going to reach an age where they realise that despite what Granddad said he wanted just before he died, setting him on fire and putting him out to sea was not the right thing to do, or certainly not in the circumstances in which they did it, without telling anybody else that he passed away. Do you know what I mean? They're going to, at some point, there's going to be nightmares, there's going to be troubles forming relationships, and I think that there's maybe, to be serious and a bit intellectual for a second, there's maybe a degree of irresponsibility here on the part of the writers and the filmmakers to sort of pass that off as, or they're just doing what their granddad wanted, and they loved their granddad so much that they just fulfilled one of his last wishes. You can't really just chalk it up to that and say, well, it's only a funny film, because the reality is it's a fucking harrowing thing. And we obviously, for us, we know it's just only a film, but what do the writers want us to take from the film? Because I sort of got the impression that one of the objectives of the movie is, well, the adults all act like kids, arguing and can't agree on anything and kind of sniping at each other. And the kids are, especially Lottie, as I said before, she's sort of like the conscience and the level head of the film, up until the point that she coordinates a Viking funeral. She's the one that kind of keeps everybody honest. And the other two kids really are just there for sort of comedy effect, right? Yeah. So, what message are they trying to get across? Oftentimes children are the most mature people, maybe up until that point.
Yeah, I see what you mean and where you're going. Yeah, in terms of you're right. The adults are all not paying attention to the kids because they're too busy arguing. Yeah. They're too wrapped up in their own thing. Gavin's too obsessed with making this the best party ever because the important people are going to be there. He's trying to impress. He's trying to impress the kids in terms of his intelligent house, and that's the funny parts when he's saying it's intelligent house, and then Jess says, is it more intelligent than a squid? That's what you want from a film like this. That's what you want. Another little funny part is when Gavin's on the phone, 999, and he's saying, I need police and ambulance and possibly the Coast Guard. No, I don't need a fire engine. And Mickey says, well, he was on fire. I did laugh at that. That's what you want. Little quippy one-liners, kids saying cute things like that. Not pouring petrol and setting fire to their grandfather.
So, yeah, it all just sort of misses the mark too often, I think. It's not one that you would go back to, and I don't even know if it's one that, it's worth catching if you get the chance to see it, but I wouldn't necessarily seek it out. It just kind of misses it just sort of misses the mark. Apparently, the film is a reworking of a Burt Lancaster and Macaulay Culkin film called Rocket Gibraltar, where Billy Connolly Burt Lancaster is the Billy Connolly character, and Macaulay Culkin's one of his obnoxiously named grandchildren. So it's a bit of a
who sets fire to him.
But what it says is, as Levi's health, Burt Lancaster plays Levi Rockwell. As his health begins to fail, he voices a sentimental request that he be given a Viking funeral after his death. With his adult children consumed by their own personal worries, his 7 grandchildren honour Levi's last wish. Pretty similar. There's a picture of Macaulay Culkin giving Burt Lancaster a big cuddle on the front of the poster for the movie. But I think that was just to sell the film. I don't think he much of a part in it.
Have you ever had to have a notebook of lies to keep track of everything?
No, I try. Unlike some people we know, I try to be generally quite honest in my dealings, so I don't get caught out. I think the one time that I was a bit dishonest and I was immediately captured was the night that we were out and I got a taxi back to the flat I shared with our mutual friend while you guys opted to walk back via the bakery. And when we came back, she had left and I claimed to have had a sexy time with her before she left, which obviously wasn't true. And all I had with her was a cup of coffee before she left, and I was immediately rumbled because I'd only moved in maybe that day, so there was still like a load of stuff on my bed. I kind of learned my lesson there. Don't fib, especially to your friends.
No, as Billy Connolly very famously said in The Elephant's Graveyard, if you tell lies, you always expect to get captured.
Exactly, yeah, and I was. So
very valuable lesson there from Billy. Not telling lies and don't set fire to your elderly relatives and send them out to sea.
Exactly. So, shall we put what we did on our holiday through our Swally Awards?
Yes, I think we shall. Let's do. That's another thing. The title of the film, What We Did on Our Holiday. Like, the kid's going to go back to school and tell everyone. I mean, they've seen it on the news, I guess, anyway. But they're going to go back to school and tell them, what did you do on your holiday? Oh, well, we set fire to Grandpa.
Well, there was a moment when they were talking about writing about what they did in their half term. Wasn't there? One of the kids said that a girl in his class will still have something better because she always does. So, admittedly.
Oh, dear.
Quite funny.
Yeah.
Okay, so
never mind. Okay, right.
So our first award is usually the Bobby the Barman Award for the best bar, but there is no bar. unfortunately, unless you count Margaret walking round with a couple of nice bottles of whiskey and a few glasses. So we'll move swiftly on to our patron saint of the Culture Swally Award, James Cosmo Award, that is, for being in everything Scottish. And a couple of likely choices here.
Yeah, I kind of tied it because one only has really a couple of lines, whereas one has a bit of a bigger part. But I mean, ultimately, it's Ron Donaghy.
Yeah.
But Jake Darcy, a big shout out to him as well. I mean, between the two of them, obviously. But yeah, I think I had it down as a tie.
Yeah.
But probably Ron Donaghy, just because he's a slightly bigger role, I think.
Yeah, for sure. And that's the second movie in a row that he's played a policeman that we've reviewed.
Yes. I did make that connection, yes.
For the Culture Swally. I think it's worth giving Celia Imrie a special mention. She does put a shift in quite a lot of Scottish productions. But yeah,
she certainly does.
Difficult to pick between Darcy and Donaghy. I think that's a fair choice because Donaghy does spend this a bigger part. Next award then, the Jake McQuillan Yartizu Award.
I mean, it has to be Kenneth wiping out Jess when playing football after being called a spaz by his dad.
Yeah, I can't believe that they had, because that's not been acceptable for quite a long time, calling somebody a spaz.
No.
Even in the in-betweeners, they don't call anybody a spaz, you know?
No.
So that, and the In-Betweeners was on by this. In fact, the In-Betweener might have been finished actually by this point, the series.
Yeah.
I
think so.
Just the movies to go.
Yeah, it would have been. Yeah. It's not an acceptable term, and I was really surprised that that being used, not acceptable at all.
No. I had that, but I also gave a special mention to Margaret bouncing the toilet roll off the shop attendant's head.
Yeah.
There's something funny about something hitting somebody in the head. Like, not something that's painful, but something just kind of bouncing off somebody's... Like, there's a moment when somebody bounces the football off the back of David Tennant's head.
Yeah.
It's just it's funny, isn't it? You know, I don't know. Don't ask me why, but it's just funny. So the next award I struggled with a bit, but it's the Francis Begbie language award for gratuitous language. I couldn't really think of any particularly bad language in it. Did you pick anything up?
There's not really. The only one really is Doreen, played by Annette Crosby. She does call Gordy a miserable old bastard.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much it. And that leads to don't swear in front of the grandkids. And then that is a funny part when Mickey does say mum and dad swear all the time, you know, and lists the solicitor, tell your effing C of a solicitor. Stuff like that. That's funny.
Yeah.
Again, that's what we want from the kids.
Yeah. That sort of awkward humour. I'm there for that.
Will you not stop in to say hello, you miserable old bastard?
Jesus, Doreen, can you not mind your language? They're only Waynes.
See, animal!
What's the matter with you?
I'm just saying, go easy on the swearing.
You're from London. Everybody swears in London.
Mum and Dad swear all the time.
Well, maybe so, but...
Mum used the C word and the other ones.
Okay, but...
Tell that to your poxy effing C word of solicitor, you effing B word.
The next award would usually be the Hugh McGregor Award for gratuitous nudity, but no one takes their clothes off in this one. So that takes us quickly on to our next award, the Archetypal Scottish Moments Award.
I went with getting your kilt on for a big function, because it's not a wedding or anything, it's just a big birthday party, but Gavin still gets his kilt on.
So I was going to have kids setting fire to a body, just for a laugh. But I went with the sort of rampant suspicion of Londoners, because that comes up a few times.
Oh yeah,
the kids are weird because they're from London. You know, that sort of Scottish suspicion of England. But yeah,
that's very true. Yeah. Forgot about that part, but yeah, you're right.
And then our last one is the Sean Connery Award for who won the film for you. I feel like I know who it's going to be. I think we'll be aligned.
Well, yeah, who did you give it to?
I went with Connolly, really, just because he's kind of the... You know, I think his scenes are probably the best scenes in the film, especially the scenes between him and the... He almost seems more at ease with the kids than he does acting with the adults, and that's possibly by design, because obviously Billy Connolly is a very good actor and has played a lot of really good parts opposite adults. But you know, I thought it was particularly good with the kids. in this. You know, I think he's, like I say, the scene between him and Lottie when he tells her about that basically his time is limited now and he's not told anyone else. You know, like a scene like that would be quite easy to fumble, I think, especially when it's a mature actor acting opposite a young actor. But I think like they're both really good, you know. So for that, I had to get. I mean, obviously, my first impulse was to give it to Rosamund because she's so lovely. But it wouldn't be I wouldn't be giving her. She wouldn't want the award for that. I thought to myself, she's going to want the award for her craft and her skill, and I think Connolly has the edge. So that's why I went that way. What about you?
Yeah, I went with Connolly as well, definitely. It's kind of, he steals the scenes he's in and delivers a well-rounded performance. So yeah, for me, it has to be Connolly. Yeah. I think the other actors, they aren't in it as much.
Yeah.
Tennant is, not really a film-stealing performance for me. Yeah, so, he's good.
He sort of phones it in a wee bit, Tennant. Because there's... Yeah. You kind of feel that you've seen Tennant do that kind of role before, you know? It kind of feels... Yeah. I mean, and I'm not even sure if I have, but there's just something a bit familiar about how he is in the film, you know? It feels like it's there's a big part of David Tennant in that performance, you know?
Yes, I would say that's true. Yeah, I would agree with that. So Connolly for me. Oh, well, so that was what we did on our holiday. Yeah. Safe to say that it was decent, but it was fine. It's unlikely I'll be watching it again.
Yeah, maybe don't watch it with your children. No, especially if you're not be keeping too well, you know. And why don't you write into the Culture Swally to tell us what you did on your holiday? Anyway, obviously what we did on our holiday was my choice, which means that the big arrow spins back to your good self. What am I watching over the next couple of weeks for the next episode?
Well, Greg, we love a good little anthology series, don't we?
Do.
And it's been a while since we did a Play for Today.
It has been a while.
So I had a little scour and see which Scottish Play for Todays were on YouTube so that we could easily access and watch. So I picked one that I really like the sound of and that I really like the premise of as well. So we're going back to 1982 on the next episode of the Swally, Greg. To do a Play for Today. Malcolm goes through life hating the mundanity of his existence as a factory worker and an unloved husband. But when students take up summer jobs at the factory, it reawakens both his passion for politics and his romantic urges. Starring Derek Anders, Mary Riggins, Elaine Collins, Jake Darcy, Jonathan Watson and Tony Roper, we will be watching a Play for Today available on YouTube, and it is called The Silly Season.
Oh, I've never seen it.
I watched it last week just to check if it was any good for the pod.
Okay.
It's good. I look forward to discussing it with you. Oh. It's good. It's got a very, very good cast, and I think there'll be some good conversation that will come from it. So The Silly Season, available on YouTube.
Cool.
And it's only an hour and 14 minutes long, so it's fine.
Awesome.
So there you go. All right. Thank you very much for listening, everyone. Hope you enjoyed the show. Please get in touch and say hello. You can email us, cultureswally@gmail.com. As Greg said, tell us what you did on your holidays, and we'll read out the best ones and send you a Culture Swally badge. You can follow us on Insta at Culture Swally Pod, and we have a wonderful website as well, don't we, Greg?
We do. You can find us at cultureswally.com. With links to other episodes and some news and blog posts about Scottish film and television.
Fantastic. Right. Well, it's getting late for you, Greg. It's a Monday evening as we're recording this. You up to anything exciting?
No, I just finished Irvin Welsh's new book, Men in Love, just last week, towards the end of the week when I was on my work travels, and it features probably his most iconic characters, the Trainspotting gang of Renton, Sick Boy, Begbie and Spud, and it sort of picks up just after the events of Trainspotting and covers maybe about 18 months to 2 years in the lives of the characters. So I've kind of had to start reading porno again. because I'm a bit compulsive, and there's characters that are in Men in Love who aren't in porno, but they are alluded to, and because there's that connection, I don't know. I kind of need to read it again to see if, because porno was written in 2000 or 2001, so 25 years ago nearly.
Yeah.
And I want to see how it's so stupid, but I want to see how it sort of links together. So I haven't read porno for a few years, so I'm going to read that tonight. I'm going to continue reading that before I go to sleep, and then
Very good.
I made a resolution to try and read more books that I've not read before this year, because I've got a habit of rereading old books that I've read before. So I just reread all the Adrian Mole books, for example, which I've read lots of times before.
Good. Yeah, I need to get into... I started Men in Love last night. So I read the first 25 pages, so I need to... I think I'll probably plough on a bit with that tonight.
Yeah,
so
it's good.
Try and read a bit more.
Enjoyed it. Some trademark Welshian moments in it. I think there's some moments in the last maybe 100 pages that I think you especially will really enjoy. So just like
excellent.
Just the sort of humour that appeals to you.
Fantastic. Oh, well, I better get cracking then. All right, wonderful. Right, well, thank you very much, Craig. Until next time.
Yep, until next time.
So, this came out of an ostrich's bottom.
That's why they're so bad-tempered.
Could you get an ostrich egg and push it back up its bottom?
No, I don't think so, because you'd have to hold the ostrich still, and nobody's going to volunteer for that.
I reckon you can get it halfway up the crack. You can push it up
If
the
you
crack.
push it halfway, you think you could push it back up?
Yeah.
Well, the next time one of them's going to lay, I'll get in touch with you.
One little push like a volleyball.